Welcome back to Expat Escapades with myself, Tyler Puckett, and really the series is The Life You Choose Next. Today I feel like I'm just going to talk about what you need to do if you've made the decision that you want to explore living somewhere else. Let's talk about research, cost of living, how much you need to save, things you need to look out for, where to stay, how long to stay there, apartment hunting, things like that. So if that's something you're interested in, that's what we're going to talk about. So let's get going. So for the first thing I want to talk about today is research. You need to research. You have to research. And what I mean by that, I would get on YouTube and I would look for places that are appealing to you. It's possibly a place you've already been to. If it's a place you've never been to, I would stay away from, personally, the vloggers they travel all over the world. What they're going to do is, and there's nothing wrong with it, what they're going to do is present it in a wonderful light most of the time. They may have some pros and some cons, but it's going to be superficial. You'll see all the glitz and the glamour of a place, but you don't get to see what you're really going to experience in day-to-day life. So what I would suggest that you do, you can use those videos to complement your research, but I would look for expat videos similar to this one. There's YouTubers out there that make actually a living off of the content that they produce in their city. That's the first thing I would do. While doing that research, you can start narrowing down even the region that you want to live in. For example, I'm here in Vietnam. Originally, I didn't want to move to Saigon. I wanted to go to a place called Da Nang, which is all over the YouTube. People are talking about this place left and right. However, when I got there, especially the area I stayed in, I saw mostly Westerners, people I was kind of trying to get away from. So I quickly decided that was not going to be it. So I started traveling to other cities. So that's my suggestion for you. To research different places that you would like to go. And let's get that plan in your head. Next thing I would do, especially for Americans, we don't get a lot of vacation days. Even if you've been there for many years, you're just going to have to suck it up. If you get 3 weeks, use all 3. If you get sick days, attach that onto it. Make a plan, say this is what I'm going to do because I'm moving. Take a trip, go across seas, go where you need to go. If you're coming to Vietnam, just remember it's a long trip, and I'm going to be honest with you, even if you're just here to visit, 1 week is not long enough because you're going to lose 2 days in the air, and it's just, for me, it's not worth coming this far for a small amount of time. That's just my opinion. But if you're going to come and you're researching, I would stay at least 3 weeks. Do that the initial time. Maybe split your time between 2 places. You're going to hit all the tourist spots first, of course, but try to stay in a neighborhood where the locals stay. Try to stay outside of the tourist areas because you're going to run into tourists. You're going to run into higher pricing. You're going to earn because higher pricing for apartments. Even if you're staying in an Airbnb, you're going to run into higher pricing even for food. You're not going to get a true sense of what life is going to be like. So if you can, research through expat communities where they stay. Now here in Vietnam, there's several places. There's 2 prominent ones are D2, which is a little area called Tao Dien. I stayed there, did not like it. I knew it was going to kind of slow down my process of learning Vietnamese because it's an expat bubble. And there were some entitled expats there, which I did not like. So I left that place a couple days early, actually. And then I came to District 1 and I stay in one of the alleys with the people, and no one here speaks English. That was great. I was the only Westerner here in this little neighborhood, and I enjoyed that. And those places tend to be more affordable. So that's something that you want to consider. Get on the expat Facebook forums. They can be annoying, especially after you move here, but there are going to be some gems in there that you really want to, that you're really going to find. Now, even myself right now, every once in a while I want to delete it because you get some crazy expats on there saying wild things about the country that they moved in. They're entitled, and it's just silly stuff. But every once in a while, there's something you're thinking about, somebody will post about it, or you can go in and do a search and find out what you want to know. So expat forums, research, so YouTube, expat forums, and boots on the ground. Now, after that initial maybe 2 to 3 week journey, you should start kind of narrowing down where you want to be, hopefully. That's when you plan for the big trip. That's when you go back. Remember, this is long-term goals. Now, if you're already retired, that's different. But if you were like me, you were working, and you couldn't just hop up and leave, you need to make a plan. My next trip here was for 2 months. And here's a tip. Try to plan a trip when the weather is going to be the most challenging for you. What you think in your mind, what you know your body, that's going to be the most challenging. So I did not like the heat. And once I decided I was going to come to Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon first, I said, let me go during the most challenging part for me personally, which was the hottest part of the year, which is May and June, and it was also the beginning of rainy season. And let me tell you, when I came out of the airport that May of 2024, it hit me like no other humidity has ever hit me. Now, it gets humid and hot in the South in the United States. The only thing comparable to it, I was in Cartagena, Colombia in July, and it was brutally hot down there. I can compare it to that. So do it during that time, because if you cannot stick it out for 2 months or even a few weeks in a new country where there's going to be way more challenges than just the weather, that's not the place for you. So try it first. After a few weeks, I was like, all right, I got wrapped my mind around it. I can let go of the heat. I can do what the locals do. You come out early in the morning, and then you take your afternoon nap, which is wonderful here in Vietnam. The afternoon naps I have adopted wholeheartedly. And then you come out at night and you bring the proper rain clothes, because it's going to rain every day, and it may rain very hard. And it may rain for extended periods. But usually here in Saigon, it doesn't rain all day. You get that afternoon downpour and even the occasional thunderstorm at night, but that's it. But it's going to rain every day, and it's going to rain hard. But life doesn't stop, so do that. So you research and you come here and you stay for an extended period of time. Just stay. Then you're going to go back. Hopefully by then you've made your mind. Oh, let me go back. If you're here for a couple months, still trying to travel, hopefully you've gotten your bearings about you, and you're going to stay in 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 cities. So I went to the north, which it was incredibly beautiful. I went to Sapa, which is about 6 hours north of Hanoi. I went to Hanoi. Didn't like Hanoi so much. I tried another city, Dalat, which is the city of Eternal Spring, which is wonderful. A little too small for me. It'd be a nice place to visit, to get away from the heat, which I'm going to do in a few weeks. Here in Saigon, it's always in the, might hit 80s every once in a while, drops to the 60s. Really nice. Eternal Spring, city of 1,000 flowers. Tried that, but Saigon is where I wanted to land for a little bit. So I'm not going to be here forever, but for right now, this is my vibe. Now, once you've done that, travel around, go back, make a plan. If you're like me, you're going to need a job. A lot of you guys have these techie jobs, or you're influencers, or you're digital nomads. That's a totally different vibe. But if you worked a 9 to 5, in some countries, the first option and the easiest option for you to get a job, if you're not working remotely, now I'm talking about people who don't have those tech skills who can't work remotely, you can teach English. And that's what I did. A lot of these companies here in Southeast Asia and Taiwan, I don't know, Taiwan's mostly, it's East Asia, but in Asia, they will sponsor your work visa. Some even give you a flight, will get you here, will fly you here, or give you money back at the end of your contract to reimburse you for your flight. They will give you a contract bonus. They will take care of all your paperwork. They will help you find accommodations. Move here, and you can start teaching English. I wouldn't suggest you do that right away if you can save a little bit of money. And I can only talk about Vietnam. Vietnam is very affordable. If you don't have one of these jobs that are paying you a lot of money, if you can save, I think you should save at least $3,000. That doesn't sound like a lot of money to some, and it sounds like a lot of money to others, I understand. But if you have a plan, and especially if you're going to have a job when you get here, like teaching English, I would come here, let's say if you're coming in October, like I did. No, I came in August, sorry, after I did all my research. I didn't start my teaching job until like the middle of October. I wanted to kind of move in, get used to the vibe of the city, the neighborhood, do some of the things that I wanted to do, like touristy things, and get that out of my system for a few weeks, a couple months. And I did that. And it kind of let me get my sea legs, so to speak, figuratively speaking. So once I got my sea legs, I was ready to start transitioning into this new career. Because moving to a new country with a language that is literally otherworldly compared to English, getting used to that, finding your way around the neighborhoods and getting all the apps downloaded and learning the money and the systems and getting used to the weather, all those things are going to overwhelm you. And trying to start a new career, I wouldn't suggest you do that right away. If you can wait longer, wait even longer to do it. But sometimes some of these schools, if they're going to bring you here, they want to start you right away. So just give them a heads up. Say, this is when I'm going to arrive, and this is when I would like to start. There's a high demand for English teachers here. They will work for you. You're considered an expert in your field. They want native English speakers, and they will pay you a wage where you only have to work 20, maybe 25 hours a month and still have some money to save. I live in the most expensive city in Vietnam, and I only work right now about 18 to 20 hours a week. Today I go in at 17 and I get off at 21. So that's, for you Americans, that's 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tomorrow I work 7:45 to 12, Sunday 7:45 to 12. And I think I have an extra shift tomorrow too, from 16:30 to 18:30, 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. you Americans. So, and I work on Wednesdays also. So you can do that, and you can make a decent amount of money, more money than the locals make. The average salary here is quite low compared to America, and you'll be making almost triple the average salary here just doing just teaching. So if you have any more questions about specific numbers, you can message me and we can talk about that privately. I can kind of give you some numbers of what to expect. Now the cost of living here is low. You can get by, and I see people saying you can't live off of $1,200 a month. You absolutely can, even in the most expensive city. Now, you're not going to be able to go out and have Western-style dinners every night. I mean, you can maybe do that once a week. When I say Western-style dinners, that's not even expensive. Like if you're going out on a date with a young lady, even a more expensive restaurants gonna cost you with a couple of drinks, maybe 30 USD. But if you're like me, I like the local street food. I think it's better for you. Um, we go out and we have street food. I think our most expensive meal we regularly have between two people, like on a Friday night, is $8. And that's when we're splurging. So if you just eat lunch and, maybe eat some fruit for breakfast, go eat a local lunch, have local food, you can spend $10 a day eating out without having to go to the grocery store. I've gone to the grocery store maybe a handful of times just to get some things that I crave from home, but I don't cook here because the food is delicious, fresh, and inexpensive here in Vietnam. In fact, a lot of the local people don't cook all their meals every day. They'll go out and have food because it's delicious and it's convenient and it's inexpensive. So save up, maybe I would say minimum $3,000, especially if you have a job to come here for. So do that, do your research, just a recap, and stay in places, different places, and once you find a city, stay in different parts of the city too. Like right here in District 7, that's Koreatown. It's a really nice area. A lot of the Koreans move here and they have their remote jobs and they're making a lot of money and they want to stay in a lesser expensive environment, or they have jobs here with a Korean company. That area is really nice. District 2 is really nice. Just not for me. I want to stay with the Vietnamese people. That's just me because I want to learn the language. Also, I would research from those expat forums and those videos, apps to already have downloaded. Do that right away and connect your credit cards if you can in the country, in the US before you come here, especially if you're connecting a US credit card. Sometimes in Vietnam you run into issues, or your credit card company in the US is like, oh, you're in Vietnam, you're not using a VPN, you need to use a VPN. You need to try to square that away before you land. Try it on those test runs when you're here. Download those apps. See which ones work. See which one the credit cards are giving you problems with. Do that before you actually move here. Test drive all of that stuff. One more thing is if you're going to be doing banking and getting some other business stuff done in the States, download an app where you can keep your US number. Data and text messages and phone calls here are incredibly cheap. You can go to Viatel, and what you spend on your monthly mobile bill for 1 month in the States, can get you the whole year here in Vietnam. So you're going to want to try to get a phone with a dual SIM or already built into it, or make sure you just get your SIM card when you get here, but keep your US number. You're going to run into situations where you're going to need to get those text authentications. So I use this thing called Tello, Tello. Tello. It's really, really inexpensive. And I just honestly use it. I keep it on just to receive those text messages. So because you're going to get fraud alerts every once in a while, or if you're going to use your credit card, sometimes you need to maybe make a larger purchase. You want to use your credit card for it here. You're going to get those verification texts, so you're going to need that. So make sure you do that, get that squared away before you move here. There's some things you need to do before you get here. Now, before this video gets too long, I want to talk about also your clothing. I overpacked. There's stuff in my closet that I've unpacked them, but not really. If you're going to move to Southeast Asia, especially in an area of Southeast Asia where it's going to be hot for the most part. Now, I'm not talking about Hanoi and some northern parts of Vietnam, because it can get cold up there. Saigon is hot. Bangkok is hot. Places like that and hot. Places even further south than here in KL and Indonesia and Bali. These places are hot. I mean, hot. It's summer here all the time. Okay, so much so that I don't know if you saw the video. My Neem, my wife, she actually was cold when it was about 67 degrees Fahrenheit one morning, and this was November. That is as cold as it's gonna get. And when I went to the school, the Vietnamese staff, they were all cold. They were like, oh, and my students were like, it's cold. I was like, you guys, it's 67 degrees. That is the low. It's gonna only get hotter. It's still gonna get up in the 80s. So I said all that to say, don't waste time or money or space on bringing clothes you're not gonna wear. So, and even if you're gonna travel somewhere that's gonna be cooler, maybe have one thing for it. Maybe keep a jacket and just just buy something. Clothing here also is inexpensive. Those name brand clothes that you pay arm and a leg for in the States, a lot of them are made here. Even if it's a knockoff, if you're gonna have to just wear it maybe once or twice, it's gonna be really inexpensive. So just leave it at home, especially if you're gonna be here a while. No need to bring clothing that you're not gonna wear. So that's some of my tips. Footwear, get you a nice pair of shoes. If you're, yeah, glad I mentioned that. If you're coming from the West, you're gonna be a larger person for the most part. I'm not excessively tall. I'm 6 foot, but that is really tall here. So you're gonna have trouble finding, especially shoes. Clothes you can find, especially in a big city like this. You just have to look for it. They're just not gonna be on the racks here in every store, even in the malls. But for the most part here in Saigon, I can find clothes that fit me with some effort. But shoes, that's a different story. So make sure you have some shoes, or doing your research, make sure you get here. If you think you're gonna save some money, try to find them here and say, okay, this is the place I can go, so I don't have to bring all these shoes. I'm glad I brought my shoes. That's really the number one thing. If you're gonna overpack something, shoes. If you are a Western person in America, especially an American. So do that before you get here. Clothes. I would stress too much about the money situation. I would also bring some cash. If you're gonna save, like say $3,000, I would bring 1,000 in cash. Keep the rest in the bank. Once you get here, especially if you have a job, you can get a digital. Once you get your work permit, you can go to the bank and get a digital bank account. Until you get your temporary residence card, you won't get a debit card, but you can use banking. Also, go on the expat forums. A lot of expats here who don't have a tourist, only on here on a tourist visa. They use an app called Momo, and they make digital payments. You don't have to use cash for everything. Sometimes they say cash is king here. It is if you're negotiating, but once you live here, you're not going to be doing all that stuff. You're going to be shopping at the same places regularly, and they have everybody has QR codes, even the street vendors. Just tell them you use your phone. You can either scan their bank account, or you can scan the little QR code on their thing. You just pay them that way. It's easy. It's actually better, in my opinion, than carrying around a bunch of cash. I would bring maybe 1,000. Honestly, now if I had to do it again, I would probably bring only 500 in cash. Go to the gold shops. Gold shops is where to go to exchange cash. I've got a good one if you're coming here to Vietnam. But some people are going to say bring more. That's just not me. I just don't like carrying a bunch of cash. And especially if you're going to exchange money, they're going to give you the larger bills. And if you're going to be buying street food, you're going to want to exchange it. And they may not have for like the largest denomination here is 500,000 Vietnamese dong. And if you're buying something for 50,000, they don't want to, or even 20,000 or like 10,000 for a drink. they're not going to want to give you 490,000 because they need that change for the rest of the day. It's just easier for everyone to scan it. So I would do those things. So I'm not going to keep talking. I've been rambling for 25 minutes. Oh my goodness. So I just want to say this too and just get it over with. You can leave and you will be okay. America has trained you to be okay. Okay, especially if you're from a large city. It's easier to go from, what's the word I'm looking for? America has its own chaos and stress to a lower stressful situation, in my opinion. Somebody said on my Substack that I seem calmer now. I am. You can do it. You've been through a lot in America, especially if you're my age. And if you're a person of color or you're an LGBTQIA or whatever, you can just be, I don't even care if you're a person who is a MAGA person. You listen, you can do it, okay? You can do it. I don't want to get into social stuff, but anyone can do it, okay? You can move here. You can move anywhere you want. You just have to be prepared. America has prepared you for the rest of the world. Believe in yourself. Choose the life that you want to live. You can do it. Go ahead and choose it. Make it happen. You have to be, you have to be brave, but you have to bet on yourself. Bet on yourself for once. I see people all the time. I watch these videos, and I used to say, I can't make YouTube videos. And I may not get 100 views for the rest of my life, but it's kind of therapy for me. And I say, look at this guy, I can do it, I can do it, I don't care. And who cares? If you go to a place you don't like it, you can always go back home. Who cares? You did it. You'll have an experience that 99% of your peers will never have. So if you're even thinking about it, go for it. Make a plan. Message me. I will help you. I will do the best I can to offer any kind of advice that I have. But I'm going to ask that you support my channel by liking it, subscribe to my Substack, subscribe to this podcast. Just remember this, you'll never be fully ready. I don't care how much research you do, you'll never be fully ready. And you're going to run into stuff when you get here. Just do it. Choose the life you want. Okay, just because you were born into a certain category or in a certain place and you feel like you have to stay, you don't. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, a high control group. They controlled everything. But I don't want to be controlled. I took control of my own life. So I'm going to say all that to say, my name is Tyler Puckett. This is I can't say expat episodes, and I will see you next week.